This channel is made possible by viewers like you. My viewers, subscribers, and patrons greatly help to keep this channel going. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of you. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any uploads. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get access to what I'm working on, previews of upcoming content, and even early videos, along with other tier options for those that are interested. Thank you, and now on to the video. Dead Island 2 seems to be a game that just keeps pulling me back in, and honestly a game I cannot finish because I keep getting distracted by so many things within the game itself. It's a completely absorbing experience. It satisfies that need for a Dead Island sequel, keeping this series alive, and now hopefully we'll see even more entries. Along with that, it gives me the type of game of playing it during the summer months. Honestly, just something to relax too. And what I didn't expect was the addiction that would take hold from the game itself. There is a rather mindless element to the game, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Sit back, turn your brain off, and just enjoy a well-crafted game. This isn't some pretentious think piece, or preachy set of bad writing, or a game that thinks it's God's gift to man with an overly long and poorly paced game. Dead Island 2 stands tall as something that feels like it focused most of its energy on finding the fun, and then being able to extend that and keep it interesting over the course of the game. And the more I play it, the more I find to praise about it. There are many areas to praise about this game, but what deserves a good amount of attention is how Dead Island 2 constructs and delivers its game that makes it very satisfying to get to the Venice area. That area feels like a reward to the player, and something that was properly built up too. Almost like they were slowly building to this area through all of the prior areas, like when you have an engaging story, and elements are introduced and built up to that big moment. That is what Venice feels like. The first few areas of the game are more smaller areas, with distinct lanes, yet still densely packed. It feels rather linear when you compare it to how the original game starts out. In Dead Island 1, after the quick tutorial, you are on the island, and you are free to pretty much go wherever you want. For Dead Island 2, you are ushered to a few different hubs. They do vary in size and are very different in how they are presented and constructed, but compared to the first, they are on the smaller side of things. This isn't bad at all, just different than what you would get from the first game next to the second. These areas contribute to why getting to Venice and then playing within it is so satisfying. The other part of this is how Dead Island 2 does a great job of slowly adding on mechanics and systems without the game feeling like an overlong tutorial. We have all been there before, playing a game that we clearly know how to play, and the game moves at such a slow speed in providing its mechanics that it's practically treating the player like an idiot. I think these situations can be rather frustrating because the game is holding back what feels like basic mechanics. Thankfully, Dead Island 2 does not do this. At the start, the action is fun, and it only builds from there. For example, as you complete missions, you're gaining more abilities, like the always excellent dropkick, starting to play around with the card system, along with being introduced to new weapons, how the crafting works, other upgrades, and even getting to play around with some guns. Everything from learning new moves, along with your special powers, feels like Dead Island is compounding the gameplay and action. Like I said at the start, the action starts good, continues to become more interesting through all of the elements I just stated, in addition to new enemy types and most of all, the missions themselves. The story missions are pretty good here, and I think they use their locations rather well. For example, you fight through a hotel and get to explore a few floors, rooms, and the outside pool area along with a wedding reception area. It feels like a hotel I have been to before. One really cool level is that you get to fight through a movie set, and all the zombies are various actors in their costumes. Stuff like this gives each level a distinct personality. You are playing through levels like these, being introduced to new mechanics, and then once you get to Venice, it feels like everything really just comes together very well. Venice stands out because of its sheer size compared to the other areas. It was smart to have the sewer mission right before this too, because that level is rather dark and confined, and Venice feels even bigger because of this, because we are craving more openness after that mission. While I enjoyed each of the spaces up to this point as well, Venice is extra special because of the volume. It has plenty of stores to loot and explore, along with a fair amount of rooftops to fight through. Plus, each of the stores are unique and individual, not cookie cutter. Again, it goes back to what I said before, it feels like a fully realized space. I got sucked into Venice to the point I just wanted to run around, collect weapons and supplies, and of course killing anything I saw. You get a huge beach area to fight through as well. But more importantly, this all feels earned and especially well done. There's plenty of opportunities for mindless entertainment here, as you go about the area however you want. One thing that I think hurts some of the exploration within some of these areas is that you'll come to one part where enemies will be too high of a level and take you out in one hit. Now to the game's credit, you can fight them, but the fights can feel impossible, and you only really earn the same amount of experience from a regular enemy. I get what the developers were trying to do here, but honestly I think this hurts some of the exploration moments, because most of the time the game will say, hey, go here and do whatever you want, and then abruptly say, wait a minute, don't go here right now. It doesn't happen often, but often enough to be annoying when it does. Dead Island 2 does a lot of things right in nailing that structure, how it provides new mechanics along with the Venice area feeling earned, and especially great when you get there. This is a title that's really hard to put down. Gameplay seems designed first, with the priority of finding that fun. I know most games want to provide that fun, but honestly it feels like that was the focal point of everything they were trying to do. Mindless in the best possible way. And while this title feels like a title I want to spend all of my time with, it isn't one that feels like I need to. So many big games want us to spend all of our hours on that one game, like it's the only one that exists for the time, or it's the one that we only have the time for. Instead, at least with my time with Dead Island 2, it's a title that respects the player and their time, and most importantly, it's a game. Sure, we have a story and narrative, and while there is some nice visual flair to it, at the heart of the game is the gameplay, and it most certainly is fun. I can turn my brain off for a few hours just going about the open areas, fighting zombies and collecting supplies, or I can try to get into the nitty-gritty of some of the mechanics. Dead Island 2 works on all levels, and succeeds at both. I appreciate the mindless fun nature to it, something that I think big studios seem to forget. And like I said before, that dropkick mechanic is one of the best things, and when combined with the ragdoll, it provides endless opportunities for comedy. Dead Island 2 is both awesome and addictive. It has a loot system that we are accustomed to, but when you keep compounding elements, it gets even more interesting for the player. And when you create open spaces that feel like fully realized areas with plenty of stuff to grab and then feed your upgrades, you'll honestly never get tired of it. Have you played Dead Island 2? If so, what do you like or maybe not like about it? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.